Two wars overseas and growing tensions with Russia and China are prompting the United States' top military contractors to boost production. For example, in 2024, to keep up with demand, Lockheed Martin's production of Patriot interceptor missiles is expected to increase 100 missiles per year. With each missile costing $4 million, that's a boost of $400 million on one weapons system in 1 year. Bill Hartung joins me now. He's a senior research fellow at the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft and the author of a recent article, Good Times for the Military-Industrial Complex. Thank you so much for being with us. Military spending is going back up, so there are plenty of conflicts, but is that the only explanation for the increase in spending?
I would say no. It's been spiraling for the last few years. Before Ukraine, before Gaza, Congress authorized $886 billion for next year, not counting money for Israel and Ukraine. So the argument has been we need to prepare for the rising power of China. And I think we've overplayed that hand. I think China is an economic rival, a political rival. I think we've overplayed the military piece of that. And I think we're probably spending more than we need to.
Which is hard to politically get through because there seems to be something of a competition to compete with China. What's all this spending on? Is it traditional weaponry? Is it AI? How's it break down?
Well, one of the reasons it's so high is because they're not making choices. They're spending on almost everything. So we're building a new generation of nuclear weapons. We're building aircraft carriers. We're investing in AI-driven robotic weapons, pilotless vehicles. And of course, you have to pay the troops. You have to provide health care. We have a network of 800 military bases around the world. So, if your position is you have to win a war with China, you have to win a war with Russia, you have to fight a global war on terrorism, and the theory is possibly with little allied help, the money's going to add up. But I think a smarter strategy would allow us to spend less.
The idea of the military-industrial complex, as that term was first coined by Eisenhower, was, as I recall, you'll tell me if I'm wrong, that the profit motive would drive the policy. And I note that some of the supporters of Ukraine funding make the case that this funding is really going to factories in the United States. And so, it's good for American business. What is the state of the idea of the military-industrial complex?
Well, I think it's changed since Eisenhower. For one thing, we spend about twice as much on the military as when he gave his speech. So it's actually in some ways larger. However, it benefits, a relatively small number of companies get most of the benefits. Half of the budget goes to contractors, half of the Pentagon budget. And although it does create jobs, any other investment creates more jobs. So I think, ideally, we should decide these things on, do they make sense to keep us safe, to help our allies, not, what's the economic effect in the United States. But of course, politics doesn't work that way. So these jobs are coming into play in the arguments over things like aid to Ukraine.
And you have a figure in your article that American arms industry, that it dominates the international market, controlling 45% of all such sales globally. So, give me your sense of that piece of the American economy. In other words, that's not just about decisions about where the threats are, but if that's as much a part of American business, I could imagine someone making just a straight economic case for that kind of spending.
Well, it's true. A country like Saudi Arabia, they pay for the weapons. They don't come from tax dollars. On the other hand, they, launched a war in Yemen that resulted in hundreds of thousands of deaths directly and indirectly, and U.S. weapons being used to bomb things like school buses and mosques and so forth. So it's sort of like you have to balance the financial benefits with, how are the weapons being used? And in the case of Saudi Arabia and some other places, I don't think it's worth it. There's other cases where we're supporting, loyal allies to defend themselves. I think then the economic benefits are kind of a useful side effect. But if economics leads, I think it gets you in trouble.
Right. Bill Hartung with the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft. Thank you so much.
Thank you.